And let's find out what's fueling that optimism by speaking to the man who's led the company since 2005. The CEO, Nick Buckles, joins us live from the London Stock Exchange. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, in terms of what we're seeing on your share price, it's actually the biggest gainer on the FTSE today. But I wanted to ask you about austerity measures because, of course, you have to do with a lot of government spending and a lot of the security you provide to governments. Are you going to be hurt in the longer term as governments try to cut more and more spending here in the UK but also in the US?
No, I think we've seen our government business grow well in the first half, continuing a trend of a number of years. And we firmly believe that government outsourcing will continue despite the sort of measures that are in place, because clearly the private sector can deliver almost any service 20% cheaper than the public sector. So we're very confident that those outsourcing opportunities will continue.
And also for your private clients, you're not concerned that there's any kind of cost cutting where they think, well, actually, I might try and rein in my cost for security because I have to contend with a much weaker economy, and if we fall into a recession, then they will cut what they spend on your security, and therefore, you know, revenues will be hurt.
Well, we went through the recession in 08-09, still growing strongly. In fact, we grew stronger against GDP trends then than any other time. And security is an expense that's very difficult to cut. And of course, with global pressures on security and increased risk, we still think that's going to be a key driver of growth.
Where are you expanding in terms of markets? Are you bidding anything? What's your pipeline looking like? Are you looking, for example, to operate in Libya?
We're very strong in developing markets, almost double-digit growth in the first half organically. The Middle East is a very strong area for us, probably around 15% growth. Clearly, we'll have to wait and see how the Libyan government forms, but certainly we're very strong throughout the Middle East region.
And in terms of acquisitions, are you looking to target any acquisitions in certain regions or places where you would benefit from that because there's such surging demand for security?
Yeah, we said we're going to spend at least 200 million a year on acquisitions. We're well on track to do that in terms of our pipeline. A lot of that spend will go into developing markets, places like Brazil, India, Thailand, Malaysia, even Korea, Ecuador. So it's definitely focused on those developing markets, which are currently about 35% of our group profits. We expect that to build to around 50% by 2018. So a real focus on developing markets.
Now, I also wanted to ask you, of course, about the Olympic Games, because we're less than a year away from those now. You're providing a lot of the security for that. Yeah. Are you, ramping up security? Has the government asked you to ramp up security in the light of the riots we had in the last couple of weeks, or are you just staying put?
As we described before, at least 10,000 security officers we're going to be providing. Clearly, we're in weekly contact on an ongoing basis now with the government around Olympics planning, and we'll find out soon exactly what the requirement is, but certainly we are working closely with them.
All right, Nick Buckles, thank you so much. You'll have to come back on the show and tell us about those securities for the challenge and, of course, the aspirations for the Olympic Games. Nick Buckles there, the Chief Executive of G4S.